Have a great moment, everyone. Welcome once again to Academia Gonzaga, and this is your technical writing lesson. Our instructor's compass for this moment is entitled Effective Construction of Reports. This is still Mentor Noy, and I hope you'll be learning with us this moment. Why are reports not read? Okay, let me rephrase that one. Such a complicated question. Why many reports aren't read? There are actually four reasons for this. Let's take this up one by one. Reason number one, they are too long. A one-page report has a near 100% probability of being read. With a 2 pages report, this dropped to around 75%. Anything longer and the likelihood that the report will be read will fall rapidly to 0%. So you get this right. If you have a report in 1 page or 2 pages the most, or else the rest of the pages will not be read by the one that will receive your report. The reason is straightforward. A thick report requires more time, energy, and concentration than most readers are to give it up. Now remember, the person you are passing your report to do not have all the time in the world to read your reports. They are not employed only to read your reports. So make your report simple, short, and concise so that they will not spend so much time in reading your report. Second reason here, they aren't user-friendly. So the reports are not user-friendly. Take a look at our handouts, which are just really long report styles. It has a meaningful title, a table of contents, clearly identifiable chapters, helpful headlines, a clean layout, and an obvious thread running through it. Now, what am I trying to say here? It should be user-friendly if your report has a template. It should be user-friendly if your report is easy to understand, easy to organize, systematic in approach. Reports are not very much appreciated if they are only paragraphs by paragraphs. It should be headlines, paragraphs, bullets if needed, and the organization must be seen there. The template must be seen there. The routinary structure should be seen there. Because if that will be seen, the reader will have this opinion that your report is very easy to understand. You can breeze through it, stopping wherever you like. Now pick up a report from your in tray, and what do you see? Probably a sea of words with little attempt at user-friendliness. That's why many think that the more words you use, the better your reports will be. That is actually a fallacy, because it should have been separated by headlines. If your reports are separated by headlines, bulleted, and simplified, then that is what you call user-friendliness in making reports. Third, the report or the point is not apparent right away. So reports of which the points are dangling, they are too wordy, they are expressed in a very lengthy manner, they are not really called good reports. And sometimes people who start reading this and noticing this will not continue reading your reports anymore. Have you ever wondered why most people flip straight to the back of the report? They're looking for the conclusion. Now, as what we have mentioned in the earlier part, technical writing, where should the conclusion be? The conclusion should always be in the first and second paragraphs, different from the other approaches of formal writing. Because in technical writing, people who are to receive your reports or to receive your technical output are busy people. So present your conclusion right away in the first or second paragraph, because there is a danger that the other paragraphs aside from the first and second paragraph will not be read anymore. That's why you see people flipping through the letters or flipping through the reports. They're looking for the conclusion because they have no time to read all your reports. A report is not a novel, which is written sequentially so that we may enjoy the gradual unfolding of the plot, or you call this the climactic approach. A report is functional and seeks to put a point across. State the point right away. That is always very key in technical writing, especially in making reports. State the point right away and use the rest of the report to back it up. Again, it would be best if you can state your conclusion in the first paragraph so that the reader will decide if he will continue or not reading your letter. The next reason here, the use of complex and convoluted language. The use of this complex and convoluted language will automatically make people frown and at some points not read your report. The choice to use simple and communicable language is always the key to be understood. Remember Key's method. Keep it short and simple, or keep it simply short, because simplicity is a communication of formal people. When you use technological or shall we say technical languages, when you use jargon, it is a disrespect to other people who cannot understand the jargon. So you will give an impression that you are too proud, that you are too arrogant because you are using jargon of another profession in terms of expressing your report in a formal sense. Heavy languages threatens the reader and at times create the idea that the person writing is proud and intimidating. I have just reworded what I've said earlier. However, your handout is very clear. If you heavily word it, sometimes the reader will not appreciate your jargon, will not appreciate your synonyms anymore, but rather will have the idea that you are trying to impress your reader, you are trying to be proud in front of your reader, you're trying to tell your reader how intelligent you are, and that is never the point when you are communicating technically or you are doing reports. Doing reports need simple terms, short languages, and concise ideas. Now let us have 5 steps to short and punchy reports. What am I actually trying to explain here is, what are the 5 steps to have accurate and interesting reports? Step number 1, have a meaningful title. Report is not a title. So you always see in documentations that some people will submit a report and the name of the report is report. When a report is entitled report, it is not actually a title but a name of a documentation. So those are two different things. Thus, it can be considered an empty title document if this is the document title. These empty words merely state the nature of the document, which is pretty apparent anyway. So why put their report when the person receiving that knows that it is a report already? It's the content that should be highlighted in the title. Okay. So a good title is descriptive. If your report is about how smoking in your company reduces the efficiency of your ventilation system, you could title it, How Smoking Reduces the Efficiency of Our Ventilation System. These titles help the reader by describing what the document is all about, instead of just putting their smoking report. It is an empty title that really tells nothing, and it only tells that you are talking about smoking, but smoking is a very broad term. So again, title should be descriptive. Your title should contain a complete thought. Another way of looking at a descriptive title is that it contains a complete thought, has a subject and a verb. A phrase or a dependent clause does not have a complete idea, so it should be a sentence. Again, a good title has a subject and a verb, and it has a complete idea, and it should be a sentence. Okay. Step number 2. Have a table of contents. Tables of contents show logic and organization. Again, what does it show if your report has a table of content? It shows logic and organization. It shows the reader how logical and organized the reporter is. A table of contents divides your report into manageable pieces and makes it easier to digest. It is always easier to process information that is logically arranged, rather than information that is scattered randomly like a paragraph form. So this is again what I'm trying to emphasize earlier. Do not submit a report all with blank paragraphs. put a table of contents and use significant and descriptive headlines. Make your chapter headings descriptive. The same points apply to titles, apply to chapter headings. So here is a good example. Chapter 1, let's start a no smoking policy right away. See, you have a complete idea here. You have a subject and a verb, and that's a complete idea. Chapter 2, you can say smoke pollutes the ventilation ducts. Again, you have here a subject, a verb, and it's just a complete idea. So that is how you break down into titles. Now, what about short reports? Well, here is the rule. Reports of a page or two seldom needs a table of contents. You just have to make a very good headlining. You should be able to organize the content logically through headlines and by making your point upfront. So you just use table of contents when your reports will be 3 to 4 pages already. Now, step 3, make your point right away. Okay, for a while. Okay, here we go. A good report is not a novel. We have been emphasizing that. Why is this so important? Making your point as early as possible is critical. These cannot be repeated often enough. It allows the reader to understand the report quickly, act on it quickly, and read the rest of it productively instead of wondering where it was heading. It is one of the more enduring myths in technical writing that people are prepared to plow through a document in order to discover its message. Remember, people reading your documents are busy people. They will not thrive through pages of documentations. Long reports needs a summary. Any report longer than 2 pages needs a summary. This can be a short paragraph that can be located first in the report's paragraphs. This will serve as the impression point of the person who are busy. For a short report, your point is the main headline. So for the first and second page in length report, your point is invariably the main headline, and you should place this in the first and second paragraphs. Unlike long reports, where the summary is the most important entry for attention grabbing, in short reports, the logical arrangement of headings makes it logically understandable as the headings tell the skeleton of the entire paper. So again, good headlining will factor here. And secondly, always remember to put your important or conclusive points at the first and second paragraphs. Step number 4. Use lots of headlines. We have been emphasizing this since the start of this module. Why headlines matter? Headlines is one of the 2 logical arrangers in a report. The other is table of contents and these headlines. For 3 pages and beyond, a table of contents can be the lead logical indicator, but in 1 to 2 pages, no more table of contents but just headlines, logical arrangement, and presentation. It is always easier to process information that is logically arranged rather than information that is scattered randomly like in a paragraph form. So let me again put this in a situation where you're doing a report. If you're doing a report, the number of words does not really matter. The number of paragraphs does not matter if they are not arranged very well. But if these paragraphs are arranged in a way that it has headlines, then the reader will consider the headlines first, and when they find the headlines interesting and informative, that is the time that they will read what is under the headline. Headlines can unscramble complex text. Headlines are particularly useful in unscrambling long and complex paragraphs so that key points will stand out. Make your headlines descriptive. So we have a descriptive title, descriptive table of contents, and this time headline should also be descriptive. So what is a descriptive headline? It should be a headline with a subject, a verb, and a complete thought. This gives life to the headline, and it is more understandable as it possesses a subject and a verb that makes the thought full, that makes the thought directional. Step 5. Use a clean and airy layout. Since the start of technical writing, we cannot deny the fact that clean, airy layout, the white pages are very important. Go for lots of white spaces. Lots of white spaces are important in making a report inviting and user friendly. It makes headlines and graphics stand out and enables you to draw attention to key paragraphs. In other words, it makes your document readable, and that's what it's all about. Remember, again, this is something to do with layouting, which we have learned already earlier. Why white spaces enhance readability? Chances are you've already read all the text in these handouts, and some of them are not really that important, and some are even quotes. That's no accident. Each quote or given text is sitting there all by itself on a single page. You can't miss it. Clearly, the more white space around a piece of text, the easier is it to find. The nicer is it for the feeling of therapeutic means to the eyes of the reader. Now, if you want to hide a sentence, stick it on a page that is full of written sentence and not provided with white spaces. So again, if you want your points not to be understood, make your paper very full with sentences and words because the readers will not really spend time finding your point. Paper is a means to an end. Relax. One of the hardest lessons for technical writers is to learn that paper is hardly ever wasted if it improves the readability of a document. So when you put fewer words, it does not make it wasted. It even makes it more important rather than fill your paper with words and the readers will find it unnecessary and tiring to read. Remember that a paper is often the smallest variable in the overall cost of producing a report, and what really matters is executive time for both writer and reader, and whether the report achieves its intended aim. Keep your eye on the prize and not on the prize spelled as Prize and not on the prize Price. Remember always, technical and scientific writers, writing is not just a technical act of your finger on the keyboard or a grip of the pen on your pad. Writing is living, and it is life. This is by Melissa Mayer. I hope you have learned something from our instructor's compass, and I hope next time you will still be with us in learning things through simple points here in our online learning system, Academia Gonzaga. This is still Mentor Noy, and you have just watched the instructor's compass, okay, which is focused on effective construction of reports. Have a great moment, everyone.